Hey, Josh with Kerith Acres here. We wanted to make a quick companion video to our podcast that's coming out on gardening. We want to show you our raised beds, how we made them, some tips and tricks to make things easier for you, and even some mistakes we made along the way. These are the 6 raised beds we've had for a little over a year. When we construct them, they're 2 by 12. Depth-wise, we wanted to give enough depth for anything we want to grow, especially root vegetables, carrots especially. So we made them, we went with 2 by 12s to do that. This is pressure treated lumber. It's cheaper than cedar. Cedar is a more natural way to go if you want to go that route, but it is definitely more expensive. Originally we had just made simple design, 2 boards on the outside, 2 on the inside, but both my wife and I worked on constructing these and we did them at different times. So you can see here the joints. I just did flat joints, and the idea was to do 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside. She started some as a square box, so this joint overlaps that outside joint, then that outside joint overlaps the inside joint, and ideally that would make for preferably stronger. You can see on that corner again the same, and then over here also. So this one was constructed pretty well as each corner inside in succession, but they didn't continue to do that. Some of them ended up with one entire bar inside as this box did. I think one of them, if I can find it, yes, this one here started with corner overlap joints, but then on the other side that bar ended up completely inside. So as you can see, mistakes were made along the way, but we wanted to add 3 more boxes this year to increase our production. And so we've again 2 by 12 treated lumber, but we decided to do all overlapping joints on these, and we need to fill these with dirt still. Now, leaving the grass in there, once we fill this with 12 inches of dirt, we're not too concerned about that coming up through, and it will die under the dirt and leave for some good nutrition in the soil. But you'll notice on these 2, I've left open ends. That's because I'm going down to an excavation company to get dirt, and leaving the open ends allows me to back my UTV in. It has a dump bed on it, so I can back into this side and I can dump progressively forward, and it will save time once I need to spread everything out. So we'll dump everything in the middle. Once I get enough dirt in, we'll close the end, and then we can just rake it out flat, and hopefully that will save a lot of shovel work and a lot of time. So just some tips for you in case you want to start raised beds. You certainly, if you're not going to grow any type of root vegetable, as we are actually not this year, 12 inches might be a little deep. If you don't feel like you want to go that deep, you certainly don't have to, but that's why we originally chose to go with 2 by 12. And this also allows us in the future, if we decide to rotate crops, we can. One thing to keep in mind, if you don't have the tools in your homestead yet for a lot of complicated construction projects, you can always have the lumber yard cut your boards ahead of time. It costs a little bit extra, but it's usually not cost prohibitive, and then it allows for easier to transport 2 8-foot boards than one 16-foot board, and then also allows for the lumber to be all ready to piece together when you get home and fasten it with screws or nails or whatever your fastener of choice is. So definitely something to keep in mind. Will save you time and ease of transport if you have the lumber yard do the cuts ahead of time, and necessary if you don't have the tools yet. There you go. Those are tips, tricks, and mistakes that we made. You can certainly construct it however you want, simple box or do those overlap corner joints, whatever seems to work easier and better for you. We've, like I said, went with 12-inch for the root vegetables, which we are actually not growing right now, but if we do want to in the future, we can certainly do that, and we have the depths to do that. If you don't plan on growing root vegetables, you could go with a shallower depth, I would imagine. Just make sure whatever crop you are going to plant, you're checking for soil depth, and build your boxes accordingly. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more tips, tricks, and mistakes.